Obviously, losing my sister has been really tough and emotional, and but watching my parents go through that was, some of the hardest stuff. And even to this day, certain topics of conversation, it's a wrap with the emotions.
Now for what's trending in true crime, the brother of Amy Bradley. Amy's the woman who vanished from a cruise ship back in 1998. And her brother, Brad Bradley, is hoping that superstar Kim Kardashian can help find his sister. So he reached out to Kim and to music superstar Rihanna for some help, hoping the star's fame and influence will help locate his sister. Now, Rihanna's from Barbados, which is near the area where Amy vanished. And Kim K watched the Netflix doc and told her fans that it was, quote, mind-blowing and a, quote, must-see. And her post also said, quote, "We must find Amy. This is so crazy," at Netflix. Now, Brad fired off a direct TikTok message to Kim K asking for her help, raising some awareness about the case, writing, quote, "The FBI agents in charge of Amy's case dropped the ball from day one and have been sitting on their hands for years and years. Amy deserves justice. Please help us." Now, we haven't seen a response yet from Kim, but could the celebrity's influence help solve the case? Let's ask our power panel that question. Let's bring back in. Here we go. I'm welcoming all new guests here. I'm so sorry. I'm Attorney John Phillips, a celebrity attorney, with us. Also, I have with me retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer and Professor and retired NYPD Detective Mike Alcazar. Good morning to you all. All right, so new leads coming in according to the Bradley family, new tips coming in. Brad Bradley has said people have sent emails, photos that they think could possibly be Amy. The family's of the opinion she was trafficked. She was somehow put into a human trafficking situation, taken off of that ship and held in Curacao, at least for a time. Now, can these celebrities help do anything at this point? What do we think? Mike Alcazar, would you start us off, please?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Netflix show definitely brought more attention to this cold case. And with Kim Kardashian and Rihanna jumping on board with their millions of followers, there's no doubt in my mind that our internet sleuths, our web detectives, will be a good source of information that they could provide for investigators. So, yeah, I think it would definitely help.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Jennifer Coffindaffer, to you next, please. Thoughts on these celebrities? Can they do anything in your view?
Well, I think what they can do is just bring more exposure, right? More people are going to know about this case than knew about it before. They can also use their influence to sort of incite public interest in the case. So I think those are the two items they can bring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Maybe some comfort to the family. I'm sure it's got to be comforting. So many people reaching out concerned about this woman. John Phillips, last to answer the question, but certainly not least on the panel, your thoughts on the celebs, please.
I've been through this. So when Tiger King came out, ultimately Don Lewis's family hired me, and he was missing. And we did something similar and actually did a kind of a commercial during Carol Baskin's Dancing with the Stars. Like, what happened to Don Lewis? And the calls we got are kind of match what the stories have said here. There's some crazy, profound things, a bunch of lookalikes. And so you do get an overabundance of leads that you got to sort through, and you got to have a team that's going to do it. And that requires resources, which is why you reach out to Kim Kardashian and people with influence and money to kind of help steer an investigation. And certainly, I don't know how many times Joe Exotic's reached out to Kim Kardashian for her help. She's because she's affiliated with the law and wants to be a lawyer. I know she's kind of a logical one, and she obviously is one of the most influential, social media people that we have going right now.
Yeah, definitely an influencer, that is for sure. She really has aligned herself as somebody who cares about crime and justice, and she has her causes she takes up. I'll be curious to see what, if anything, comes next for her. And so talking about what we think may have happened here, you know, everybody's got an opinion. We're debating things in our newsroom here at Court TV Network. So would love to ask all of you on the Power Panel for your opinions as to what you think happened to Amy Bradley. Mike Alcazar, let me go back to you. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the documentary, it's definitely a lot of things that could have happened, right? First of all, it was multi-jurisdictional, so it was difficult to preserve the crime scene, if there was a crime scene, because, you know, they cleaned up the cabin and then they weren't able to investigate until they pulled into a port and the FBI stepped on board. So, you know, the family seems to be adamant that they don't believe it's a suicide or an accidental, you know, falling off the deck. So is it possible that she was drugged and then escorted out of the boat, possibly by that guy Yellow? 100%. So we know human trafficking happens a lot in these countries, and then, you know, we don't have jurisdiction over there. So it was so much time lapsed that I feel like, yes, investigators kind of like responded poorly and not timely. And, you know, and there was, you know, they didn't, you know, do proper surveillance. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, I think she possibly could have been a victim of human trafficking.
Detective, really appreciate that. Thank you. Agent Coffindeffer, I want to go to you next for your opinion. And also a little known fact about you. I just learned that you did a detail in the Virgin Islands. You had a special assignment there when you were serving in the FBI. So you know what it's like to work a case and be in someone else's jurisdiction. And what's that like? Would you kind of talk to us about that and also share your opinions on what you think may have happened here, please?
Yes, well, first of all, a lot of people don't know that the FBI has jurisdiction over crimes that happen on planes, trains, and automobiles. So it doesn't matter whether it's drug-related or something like this, a missing person case. I worked many of these cases, and I'll tell you, while I was there were so many leads on Natalie Holloway. And you just see these pouring in, you know, that she was cited and somebody saw her. And it reminds me so much of this case. Look, when I look at the facts, that table being pulled over to the edge right near the railing, the fact that her shoes were quote unquote placed neatly there, and the information about her wanting to sort of beat the ship ashore, the fact she had had, I believe, 7 drinks that night, and those are just the ones that they could trace to her credit card, not ones that she might have been given, you know, a shot here or there, something like that. The fact that none of the cameras on the ship, and there were cameras, never picked up any activity like somebody struggling or smuggling somebody off or her walking off. Those all lead me to believe that she either voluntarily went over maybe to beat that ship to shore, but that she was not taken, most likely.
I really appreciate that insight, Jennifer. Yeah, there were some other things that came out in the documentary that Amy Bradley had just come out as gay, and it just touched on this. It didn't really belabor the point, but said that her parents weren't happy about that. And there was a point where there was an interview done with a woman who was in a relationship with her, and there was a problem, and Amy Bradley had written her this, it was a message in a bottle, literally a message in a bottle. And when I'm watching that just as, you know, look, an outsider thinking, oh gosh, could this have been somewhat of a suicide note? Who knows? It seems like there was some sadness and heaviness to that message. So, you know, to those folks who think she may have gone overboard for whatever reason, suicide, accident, whatever it was, who knows? John Phillips, would you take us home here? Looking at the facts, looking at what you've seen, read about this case so far, what's your theory on what happened to Amy Bradley?
Human trafficking can certainly happen any place, anywhere, anytime, and we need to treat it like that. That said, it is extremely rare for it to happen on board a ship. There's just too many control factors that happen. You would expect it to happen once it ported. And kind of like the former agent said, there's just a lot there that kind of point to other factors. But if you're the family, you want answers and you have suspicions and you don't want to believe, you know, that this was suicide or some sort of accident. And there's, I haven't seen the documentary, but, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that points to other things. And Netflix is really good at doing that. So, you know, I don't know. And I grieve for the family. And certainly if you're dealing with depression, please seek help.
Yes, John, I love all those points you made. You're right. You know, we see a documentary and it's really hard to form an opinion just based on that, what we're served up, you know, and when there's so much more out there, I'm sure we have no idea about. And you're right, this family, of course, they're going to want to keep that hope going and hope that someday she'll come back home to them. We all wish that that happens. Every good wish to the family, and we're certainly going to report any updates we get with this case. A big thank you to this amazing power panel this morning. Agent Jennifer Coffendaffer, Detective Mike Alcazar, thank you both so much. I know we need to let you two go.